sure you guys are all aware of who I am by now. Thank you very much for attending this event. I believe it's going to be a breakthrough event for many of you. A lot of this I haven't discussed before, so it is pretty unique. And for you guys that are not aware and maybe have attended my live trading room and attended my more technical events, market profile, market delta events, you may or may not be aware that I'm also a certified master NLP practitioner, and I'll explain a little bit more about NLP and what it is as this presentation goes through. And one of the main things I want you guys to be aware of is that the mindset is a really important thing to conquer if you guys want to trade successfully. And you guys have probably heard this before a million times, and you've probably even read the books. There's many great books out there. Trading in the Zone by Mark Douglas, the Daily Traders Coach by Dr. Brett, and there's a lot of information out there on trading psychology, but not a lot of practical methods for actually making the shifts happen. And what this is really going to be about today is giving you some powerful, practical, proven methods for making these shifts, okay, on the mindset level. I'm going to really start a breakdown into the mindset and understanding who you are, okay? One of the most important things to do in trading is to understand who you are, okay? And your trading is always going to be a reflection of who you are. Believe it or not, that's the fact of the matter, okay? And I'll explain exactly why that may be. So if that's not your current belief and you don't quite understand why that is, I'm going to help you understand exactly why it's important to conquer the mindset and make shifts happen on the mindset level, okay? Now, you guys that are not aware, I've been working with traders on mainly a one-on-one basis. We have done some seminars in the past based upon NLP and meditation techniques, mainly focusing on NLP techniques. Over the last 3 to 4 years, we've done a few events in the UK. However, this is the first event which I'm doing in an online environment, okay, which is hitting a global audience right now. We've got people logging in from all over the world. So I'm really excited, and I hope you guys are. Okay, I've been banging on about this in the live trading room, as you guys are probably aware. So you guys that are from the live trading room, thanks for attending. And you'll see why this event is going to be so important to you and why you're going to have a big breakthrough after today, not only after today and all days to come, okay? So if you're ready to go, I'll start cracking on and getting things going here. Okay, we're looking to finish probably in about three and a half hours time. Towards the end of this presentation, I'm going to be looking at the practical techniques, and you guys, as I said, have received an email with a MP3 which you can download, which is something which you can just listen to and go through the technique. So it's sort of like a takeaway NLP practitioner, if you like. Okay, so you're basically taking me away, and you can use me whenever you wish, okay, as your practitioner. And we're going to be focusing a lot on the power of beliefs today, okay? It's one of the core things that will affect your trading and all areas of life, not just your trading, have a huge effect on everything that you do in life, okay? All experiences and behaviors that you make, okay, and all the experiences that you have in life, okay? So let's get things going. So today the title is Practical Methods for Enhanced Trading Performance, Understanding the Trader's Mindset and the Power of Beliefs. Okay, let's just go through the agenda for the day. Okay, we're going to start off just looking at the objectives of this seminar. What exactly is discipline for a trader? Okay, what breaks the discipline of a trader? Introduction to the NLP communication model and NLP itself. Conscious, unconscious minds, and also we will begin to delve into the superconsciousness and explain a little bit of what I believe the superconsciousness level is. And that's something that you won't get many trader psychologists, coaches sort of discussing. So it's what I'm going to be talking about a little bit today, okay? And the actual practical technique I've given you guys that will actually help you experience this level of super consciousness that I'll talk about. Okay, so following that, how the unconscious mind is hardwired to prevent you from succeeding in trading. Okay, a lot of people don't know this, okay, and this is going to be a big breakthrough for some of you guys. Understanding how the unconscious mind is already hardwired to prevent you from succeeding. For some people, it's a little bit difficult to sort of just take that on, okay? But I'm going to explain to you exactly why, and you guys will be able to relate this to real life experiences and know exactly what I'm talking about. Okay, following that, the importance of shifting beliefs from for unconscious change. Okay, so we're going to look at beliefs and why you need to shift your beliefs probably before anything else. I'm not going to be focusing on emotions, and you'll see why. A lot of traders, psychology coaches focus on eliminating negative emotions. I'll explain to you why that's probably not the best thing to do. Okay, now what I'm going to discuss today, you've got to remember, it's all from my belief system. It's from what I have learned from my own experiences, and that's the only where I can come from. It may not necessarily hold true to you. Okay, so that's you got to remember that. Okay, so all I'm saying is just try it on. Okay, just try this on and see how things begin to change for you. Okay, now even if you're doing very well and you're a successful trader, this can still help you. I mean, I'm successful in my trading. I'm consistently profitable, but every day I work on myself and my mindset every day. Okay. Now we're going to then focus on what exactly are beliefs. Okay. So we've talked about beliefs and what they are. Okay. Then we'll look at the difference between knowing and believing. There's a big, huge difference between knowing and believing. Okay. On a conscious level, especially, and I'll talk about on an unconscious level, it's maybe a little bit different. Okay, so then we will look to focus on shifting the mindset, okay, from the have, do, be mindset that majority of us function from, okay, to the more be, do, have mindset, okay. Then we will begin to look at the different levels of limiting beliefs. Okay, next page. We will then look at the root of limiting beliefs and limiting decisions. The three most important categories of beliefs for a trader. Examples of limiting beliefs for traders. Examples of empowering beliefs for traders, and also I'll share with you guys my own beliefs, okay, some of my own empowering beliefs that I hold, and that will help you guys maybe know me on a different level as well, okay, because beliefs do really sort of in a way define who you are at the core of your level, at the core of your being. Okay, then we'll focus a little bit on setting goals and desired outcomes, okay, and then we'll look at how you can test to see whether you're actually driving yourself towards these goals. Now, it's very important to have these goals and desired outcomes defined before we try any of these methods, okay, because after each method that you try, okay, we will need to test to see whether it's had any positive effect on the conscious and unconscious level. Okay, so it's very important to test these methods after we have actually finished the process. Okay, so lastly, we're going to focus on the actual methods themselves. There's a couple of belief change scripts that I'm going to go through that we use as NLP practitioners. Now, you guys will have these scripts, so you can use them on yourself, okay, whenever you like. And I will also talk a little bit about the NLP belief change meditation that I put together for you guys and how you may use that, okay, and also explain a little bit on how that works. How's that sound, guys? So you can see there's quite a bit to go through. Right, so the objective of this webinar. The objective of this webinar is to help you realize the importance of understanding yourself, your mindset, and your beliefs in order to trade successfully. Okay, I'll take it all you guys are traders. Some of you are probably more experienced than others. Some of you are maybe new to trading, and it doesn't matter. This will still help you, okay? And you'll see why. And not just in trading, okay? Although this webinar is geared for traders, it's produced for you guys that are in trading. It's not necessarily just for traders. This will help anyone, okay? Now, NLP is used in a number of different fields now. It's used in helping people communicating ideas from a sales perspective. It's used for therapy for people that have suffered trauma and events that are very difficult to let go of in the past, okay? A lot of this can go very deep, okay, the mindset conditioning. And majority of the time, especially when you're dealing with limiting beliefs and negative emotions, a lot of these are actually taken on, you know, when you was a child, okay? So it's no wonder that it's very difficult to sort of break these limiting beliefs and deal with these negative emotions with just conscious effort. Okay, so I'm going to help you guys tap into the unconscious level. I'm going to show you the proven techniques that will show you exactly how your mind works and how you can begin to work on the unconscious level for more positive change in all areas of life, not just trading. Okay, that's what I mean. It's going to be a big breakthrough, okay, for most of you guys. Okay, I've made this very, very attractive to you guys in a way, and I've made it very, very affordable for you guys to actually get this information. What I'm going to share with you guys is pretty much priceless, okay? And you'll have a better idea of why at the end of this presentation. And because it is the first time I'm putting this into an online environment and presenting it in this format, I'd really like you guys to give me some feedback towards the end and send me some emails. And you know, maybe you guys want to do some more work on this level, okay? But I'm going to give you some tools and stuff that can cause some massive positive change in your life and especially in your trading as well, okay? So let's just go back to this. We're going to focus on understanding yourself, your mindset, your beliefs in order to trade successfully, and then help you make the shifts through proven practical methods for enhanced trading performance. So this isn't just going to be theory, okay? There's going to be a lot of theory at the beginning, but I'm going to give you practical methods. But I can't just give you a method without explaining how the mind first works, okay? How you actually function as a human being, okay? So let's get things going. Firstly, everybody knows that in trading, discipline is a huge and important factor, okay? And you guys have probably been there just as I have, read all the material on being disciplined and the importance of, you know, not snatching at profits and the importance of not letting your losers ride. You know, it's all good knowing this, okay? But, you know, how do you actually make the shifts? How do you actually make the positive changes so that you no longer do these things? You know, and this is what's not discussed enough. Okay, and this is what I want to provide you. I want to provide you with the tools that are necessary for you to succeed in trading. And as I said, not just in trading, in all areas in life. Okay, so just don't forget that. Okay, what I'm going to talk about today is not just about trading. You can take these methods and techniques and apply it to all areas of life. Okay. Now, discipline. What is discipline for a trader? The simple definition for discipline, okay, for a trader is acting in complete accordance with their trading methodology and trading plans rules. It's quite simple, right? So really and truly, you're a disciplined trader as long as you follow your trading methodology and your rules. Okay, but you know, the difficulty is not in understanding that you need to do it, it's in the actual doing, right? Everybody knows that they need to be disciplined and follow their methodology and follow their plan, okay? But yet, why is it that so few of us are actually able to do it? Why is it that 95% of traders fail and the top 5% are able to actually make it and succeed consistently, okay? The main difference is because they have formed a methodology for gaining discipline, okay? It's not about the trading methodology. Okay, this is not about your trading rules. Okay, yeah, your methodology trades you. Okay, you do not trade your methodology. Okay, so this is why you have to begin to focus on yourself in order for you to actually have any chance of trading your methodology and following your rules. And most people have realized they know exactly what they have to do and exactly what they need to do in order to be disciplined. And majority of it just does come down to following your rules and following your methodology. However, there's reasons why we can't do it, and that's what you're going to understand why today. The reason why, you know, traders are actually failing to follow their method, okay, follow the rules, okay. And you guys, some of you may actually fall in this category. Not maybe all the time, but there may be just sometimes when you just slip up. Now, you know, I'm not saying you need to be 100% disciplined, okay. Even myself in my trading, I do make mistakes, you know, and that's why I always have to continuously work on my mindset. I actually spend a minimum of an hour a day working on my mindset, working on mindset conditioning, okay, or just learning to release and let go through meditation. A minimum of an hour every day without fail, okay, and that's no lie. And if possible, I will spend 2 hours, okay. So it's very important to do. And every single successful trader I know all work on their mindset at some level or have a psychology coach which they work with. Okay. Now, some of you guys may be aware I actually trade at a proprietary trading firm as well. Okay, as well as trading from home, and they have trader psychology coaches. Okay, which come in on a regular basis for people to work with. And I actually work with a lot of these traders myself, mainly on a one-on-one basis. However, mostly the coaches that will come into these firms and even investment banks, the traders, you know, they will generally have a sort of psychology coach. And majority of top performers in any field, not just in trading, okay, in athletics, okay, in sports, you know, have coaches. Okay, most some of the best, you know, the top superstars, okay, in the world, some of the most successful people in the world, all have coaches, all have mentors that keep themselves in check. All right. Okay, so let's further break down discipline. Okay, discipline can be broken down as so. Now, this isn't all that falls into the word discipline for a trader. Okay, there is more, but this just give you an idea of how much being a disciplined trader involves. Okay, discipline is also the ability to know when your trading plan is not working and when to abandon or update it. Okay, discipline is the ability to give trading positions time to work in your favor. Discipline is the ability to trade once again after taking a loss. Discipline is the ability to not overtrade or oversize your position. Discipline is the persistence required to maintain your trading system and execute trades with excellent timing. Above all, discipline is the ability to come back to trading every day, regardless of whether you won, lost, or broke even the day before. Okay, and that's probably the most important thing to do. Okay, if you had a losing day the day before, okay, accept it, move on. Okay, if you're following your method and you followed your plan and you had a losing day, so what? You know, that's trading. Okay, if you're consistently having losing days, you know, then maybe you might want to go to the first option there. You know, you might want to look at just analyzing your trading plan. Okay, if it's not working, okay, and look to abandon it or update it. However, what you don't want to do is just use you know, trade your plan for maybe a few days or a few weeks and then look to abandon it. Okay, you've obviously got to be accustomed to following your plan and following that method. Okay, you've got to grow to trade that method and that plan. You've got to fit yourself around it. Okay, now just because it doesn't work, a few trades here and there, that doesn't mean you need to abandon it. Okay, the only time to abandon maybe your trading plan is after maybe months and months of losses. Okay, guys. So okay, let's just keep moving. Right, so I mean, that's discipline. So now we've got to look at what breaks the discipline of a trader. Now, most commonly, it is assumed that anxiety or fear, okay, or the cycle of anxiety and fear, okay, is usually the anxiety that leads to fear. I'm not sure if you guys are aware, of that, but it's usually anxiety and the sensations that come across with anxiety that actually result in the sensations of fear. Okay, notice I say sensations because that's pretty much what anxiety and fear is. Okay, they're a set of sensations that occur within your body. Okay, and also fear can manifest itself as negative internal dialogue, negative thoughts. It's generally negative thoughts, negative internal dialogue, and negative feelings. And with enough effort, okay, you actually begin to recognize anxiety and fear relatively easily. Okay, it takes a little bit of practice, but that's not really the topic of today. However, it's often what most traders will assume is the cause for the lack of their discipline. It is a part of it, but it's not the core of it. Okay, and what we're going to focus is on the core today. Okay, the core of what actually, well, we want to look at what actually causes anxiety and fear. Rather than deal with anxiety and fear directly, we want to deal with that which causes anxiety and fear. Okay, so as I say here, however, fear and anxiety are natural unconscious emotional behaviors, and the answer is not to fight fear or anxiety, as that will make it worse. Okay, you have to learn to accept and embrace fear, okay, and anxiety. So it may be a little bit different to what you may currently believe or may have currently learned, okay, but you'll begin to understand the importance of acceptance throughout this presentation rather than fighting, because anything that takes place within yourself, whether it's fear, anxiety, any negative emotion, it's still a part of you. Okay, so if you're trying to fight these emotions, you're actually fighting against yourself. Okay, so that causes it actually causes internal conflict. Okay, which is one of the major factors that leads to mental illnesses and also nervous breakdown. So I don't want to go too much into that right now, but that is the sort of more severe level. If you try to fight your emotions too much, okay, it can have a real negative effect as well. Okay, so you've got to learn to accept the emotions for what they are, because they are natural. Okay, so you learn to actually embrace your emotions rather than fight them. Okay, and shift them more from the core level, because your emotions are really sort of reactions in a way. Okay, emotional behaviors that actually take place as a reaction to something. Now, I'll explain that a little bit as we go into the presentation. Okay, so trading without fear is possible. However, eliminating fear completely is impossible. Okay, you need fear, so you have to embrace it. If you think about fear, it's an emotion that has been with human beings since the beginning of ages, right? Now, you may have heard of the analogy, where the cavemen, if it wasn't for fear, okay, how would they know when to fight or when to fly? It's a fight or flight scenario. Okay, so quick question, guys. Yeah, you will be able to access these presentation slides afterwards. It's being recorded, so you'll be able to get the recording. Okay, and you guys will get the slides as well. Okay, and I'll drop that all to you guys in an email. Okay, later on. So just be aware that eliminating fear is not the goal here. Okay, the root of fear or anxiety as a reaction. Okay, the root of fear or anxiety as a reaction to a particular event stems from who you are. Okay, and how you filter the information from around you. Okay, guys, I wouldn't rather than ask too many questions during the presentation, because it will actually sort of disturb the flow of the presentation. I would prefer, unless it's really relevant to what I'm talking about, and it definitely can't wait, please refrain from asking questions until after the event or emailing me. It's probably the best thing afterwards, because we haven't got much time and there's a lot to get through. Okay, so just to recap there, the root of fear or anxiety okay, as a reaction to a particular event stems from who you are and how you filter the information from the world around you. If you change the way you process the world around you, then you are in a much better position for changes in emotional behaviors. Okay, we have to firstly start with how the mind works. Okay, what I'm going to be talking about throughout this presentation is techniques taken away from NLP. Now, just a quick show of hands, okay? I will want some feedback from you guys through this presentation. Now, quick show of hands. Anybody familiar with NLP, or if you're not, just put a no in the questions panel. NLP or neuro-linguistic programming. Okay, we've got a few people that have actually studied it. Okay, good. A few people, yes. Any certified practitioners? Okay. Okay, if there was any certified practitioners, you probably understand this already. So, but it's probably good to just hear from my point of view and what I believe. Okay, so NLP, if you're new to this, which most of you are, NLP was developed by Richard Bandler and John Grinder in 1973. So it's relatively new. It is primarily the study of modeling excellence that enables you to consistently get what you want from life. Okay, both Bandler and Grindler, okay, were fascinated by the work of three great therapists: Milton Erickson, okay, famous for his work in the hypnotherapy field, okay, Virginia Satir, and Fritz Perls, each highly recognized as the experts in the field of therapy and counseling. Bandler and Grindler combined these learnings and techniques to produce what is known today as NLP. So what they did is basically model their methods in a way and distill a combination of all three therapists' work and all their models and methods of working as therapists or counselors, okay, and working with people on the mindset, more so than the unconscious level than anything else. They distilled this all and put it into what we now call NLP. And now NLP is a growing field, and more and more techniques are actually also still being introduced. But there is actually hundreds of techniques within the field of NLP for working on the unconscious level with negative emotions, self-limiting beliefs. It also can be used for more sort of communication with others, and not only communication with others, also communication with yourself, okay, on the unconscious level, okay. It's used in all fields, from sales. Now it's actually been taken into schools. One of the things that they realize through NLP is that everybody has a sort of lead rep system. Some people are more auditory, some people are more visual, some people are more kinesthetic. So the learning pattern of human beings in general may be different, okay, from one person to another, and they're actually now realizing this. Whereas traditionally in school, they would teach people, in the traditional method of, you either listen and learn, or you get out the class, okay. However, and if you didn't listen, you'll get chucked out the class and be, put into the class, the class which would say is more for thick people, but it's not actually, it's not the right thing to do, because what you realize is that most people actually learn in different ways. Some people learn from, doing practical things with their hands, okay, more hands-on approach. Some people learn better through, seeing things, okay, so they need to see pictures and images and visually be shown how to do things, okay. Some people will learn through just through listening, okay, and now this has been recognized and also been taken into schools now, and also, it's a technique a lot of traditional psychologists are beginning to use. Okay, they're beginning to use NLP more as the sort of method for therapy. Okay, NLP ties in sort of hand in hand really with hypnotherapy. Okay, a lot of the language patterns and models that we use in NLP are used in hypnotherapy as well. Okay, so a part of becoming a master practitioner in NLP actually involves learning hypnotherapy techniques as well. Okay, so that's really what NLP is in terms of where it started. Okay, but it can be further broken down. Okay, so we'll take each word at a time. Okay, so what is neuro and what is linguistic and what is programming? Okay, so this is how we can define neuro. Okay, neuro, our mind controls all aspects of our body, both consciously and unconsciously. Our unconscious mind can process 2 to 40 million bits per second. Now, there's a bit of disagreement on the exact amount of information, okay, in terms of bits per second. You know, initially it was 2 bits per second, then I said 40 million bits per second, and it's 43 million bits per second now. There's a lot of different beliefs of how much information the unconscious mind actually processes, okay, within 1 second. Now, the conscious mind can only process around 7 to 40 bits per second, okay, of information. So from everything that's going on around you and what you perceive, your unconscious mind takes in a huge amount of more information than your conscious mind, right? So whenever you're not picking up things consciously, you pick up a lot of things unconsciously. Okay, now I don't know if you guys are familiar with methods such as photo reading, and you guys may be familiar with photo reading. That actually involves using more the unconscious mind, okay, for reading. Okay, so you sort of read more in a peripheral vision, tapping into more of the unconscious mind's power. Okay, and using that, you're actually able to sort of gain this photographic memory. They can read books very, very quickly. Now, the unconscious mind processes a lot of information. A lot of the time, we sort of fall into sort of acting from more of our unconscious level rather than the conscious level. You know, some of you guys probably experience this all the time when you're driving. Now, when you first learn to drive, you probably have to focus with a lot of attention on everything that you do while you're driving. But you know, you notice after a while, you'll actually sort of forget that you're driving, and you sort of your unconscious mind takes over. It starts to do everything automatically, right? You guys have probably been there. Now, this is one of the things you need to sort of tap into when you're actually trading. You start to sort of start to learn how to trade more unconsciously. Okay, initially when you're first trading, you have to do everything with more conscious effort. Okay, but after a significant amount of time in the market, okay, and with experience, you begin to even start to trade more unconsciously. You sort of just know what trades to take and what trades to leave. And it becomes more difficult to sort of explain on a conscious level. However, unconsciously, you know exactly what you're doing and why you're doing it. Okay, your unconscious mind actually recognizes the patterns and what works and what doesn't work. And if you start to tap into that, okay, you're actually begin to trade a lot better anyway. And once you begin to learn how the unconscious mind works, you're in a much better position to do that as well. Okay, so the purpose really of going through this is just to help you understand really how the mind works and how NLP works, okay, and how we're going to actually use it to work on a method to shift your beliefs and remove limiting beliefs and install more empowering beliefs. Okay, just want to make sure everyone's following me so far. Any questions so far? Okay, so on the neuro level, okay, in order to compensate for this huge difference, okay, the mind filters the events through our senses and takes in and distorts, deletes, and generalizes the information around us. Okay, that's what it does. Okay, I'm going to show you this in a visual representation, which will make a lot more sense. One of the key things to understand in NLP is the NLP communication model, and you really understand how that works. You really understood NLP, and you can really take away most of the techniques and work with them for huge change. Okay, and just understanding the NLP communication level is the NLP communication model, sorry, is a huge breakthrough for some. Okay, and I'm going to show you that in a second. Okay, so what we do is basically we filter the information, okay, on on the unconscious level, okay, and we distort, delete, and generalize information as well, okay. So that's how the mind filters the information around us. So, you know, each and every single one of us sees the world differently, right? Okay. We all look at the same markets, right? But we all see different things. Okay. Everything around you, everybody sees things in a slightly different way. Why is that? Okay. Why does everybody perceive? You know, we're looking at the same thing, but why do we understand it? Okay, in a different way, on a more conscious and unconscious level. Okay, why is it that we're processing this information differently? Okay, so the computer is pretty much like, the mind is pretty much like the computer, right? You probably heard that analogy before. Okay, and I'll explain a little bit about that after this. Okay, so now let's move on to linguistic. So what does the linguistic stand for in NLP? Okay, linguistic. Okay, the mind takes these generalizations and using memories, values, beliefs, and attitudes, makes representations of them. Okay, it's called an internal representation. I'll explain a little bit about that as well. Okay, these representations of the world we are taking in are conveyed in pictures, sounds, and feelings within our mind. Okay, this is the language of the mind: pictures, sounds, and feelings. The mind is no different to a computer. Okay, it uses a programming language. I'm going to show you what that programming language is for your mindset. Okay, that in turn puts us in a state of mind that can affect our behavior, physiology, and language. Okay, so the representations we make of the world around us, which is conveyed in these pictures, sounds, and feelings within our mind, puts us in a state of mind that affects our behaviors, our physiology, and our language. So basically who we are, right? Okay, a lot of the actions that we take and how we are physiologically, and also the language that we use. Okay, how we talk, how we communicate has a huge effect. Okay, these filters have a huge effect. Okay, so neuro is really about understanding how the information is sort of perceived, okay, and filtered. Linguistic is more about the program, how this information is sort of distorted, generalized, okay, and deleted in a way based upon our beliefs, values, and attitudes. Now, when you see this visually, some of you guys that are a little bit more visual rather than auditory, you'll probably understand this a little bit better when I show you the actual diagram, okay, that shows you how this works. Now, programming, okay, this is how we communicate, okay, the information, okay, to the brain, and in a way, basically, fires off these automatic programs. Okay, these automatic programs fall into the programming level. Okay, how we react in situations, how we physically behave at any given time, can affect how we feel or how we communicate. Our habits, reactions, emotions, and unconscious behaviors are all affected by these changes in state and physiology. Our health, posture, how we physically manifest our feelings through the unconscious body's language are all linked to our unconscious mind. Our health, posture, how we physically manifest our feelings through the unconscious body's language are all linked to our conscious mind. All this happens in an instant and in any order. Okay, so all of this information comes in very quickly. Okay, it is actually distorted, deleted, or generalized very quickly based upon our filters, our values, beliefs, and attitudes. Okay, the representations are made within an instant. Okay, within milliseconds. Okay, on the mind's level. Okay, and that actually shifts our state of mind very quickly. So trying to deal with this consciously just would never work, right? Okay, trying to actually sort of filter all of this consciously is just almost impossible, right? All this information coming in, 40 million bits per second. Okay, consciously we can only deal with 40 bits per second. Okay, so there's a lot happening that we're unaware of, okay, on the unconscious level. There's a lot being processed on the unconscious level every millisecond of the day. Okay, now understanding this in your trading, just imagine, sometimes we just can't explain why we do the things we do, right, in our trading. How many of you guys experience this? You make mistakes in trading and you think, why the hell did I do that? I know I shouldn't have done that. Yeah, everybody knows what they shouldn't be doing, but why do we still do it? It's because of our unconscious conditioning. Our unconscious mind is firing off these automatic applications, automatic programs, okay, that are running based upon our beliefs and attitudes all the time. So every time we're filtering this information, every second of the day, okay, even when we're involved in trading, it's filtering this information so quickly on the unconscious level and causing these emotional behaviors, okay, physiological shifts, okay, very, very quickly. Okay, it doesn't give us a chance with any conscious effort to able to actually shift anything, okay, or make any changes. Okay, one of the things that most people try to do in trading, okay, it's natural to do this if you don't understand how the unconscious mind works, is to try and make changes through willpower and determination. Very, very weak way to actually to actually cause some sort of shift on the mindset level, okay, or a very poor way to influence change. Okay, now traditionally people will think, willpower and determination is all it takes. Now, in some areas in life, yes, okay, through willpower and determination you can succeed. However, in trading, okay, a lot of your behaviors, especially your emotional behaviors, are going to be taking place on the unconscious level. Okay, so there's no way willpower and determination will help you, okay, on that level. Okay, if you know of a way, okay, please let me know. Right? You can make some shifts happen, right, and some changes happen with willpower and determination. However, willpower and determination, works in general sort of day-to-day business, okay, but in trading, very, very few are able to make it through willpower and determination alone. Right, guys? Now, is that something that's a little bit new to you guys? Anybody's cool. Okay, let's keep moving. So why is NLP successful? Okay, one reason that NLP is so successful is that it has developed techniques that bypass the conscious mind to work directly with the unconscious mind. Okay, one reason that NLP is so successful is that it has developed techniques that bypass the conscious mind to work with the unconscious mind. Let me repeat that again. One reason that NLP is so successful is that it has developed techniques that bypass the conscious mind to work directly with the unconscious mind. Keyword directly, okay? It taps directly into the unconscious mind, okay? It doesn't even have to go through the conscious mind, okay? So sometimes when you're doing these techniques, I mean, I've worked with other traders before, they're not aware consciously that shifts have happened and changes have happened, but I can see the changes have happened because of the physiological shifts. Okay, you can actually see the shift based upon the physiology of the person, how they hold themselves, how they breathe, okay, the size of their lips, the color of their skin, right? Yeah, it actually shifts. Okay, some people go a little bit more, the calmness actually shifts. Okay, now remember, the unconscious mind controls most of our behavior, right? So it's important to do this. Okay, therefore, the conscious mind does not have an opportunity to edit the throughput and distort it or reject it. Okay, so through conscious effort, we have no possible way, okay, of editing the throughput, okay, to our unconscious mind. Okay, so we have no way of editing this information. Okay, so this information is coming through, okay. Now, you cannot edit it with the conscious mind. There may be times where you can catch a little glimpse here and there, okay, of what information is going through to the unconscious level, and you may be able to edit tiny little bits here and there, but it won't be enough to make huge change happen. Okay, maybe through, you know, years and years of determination and willpower, you may finally get a breakthrough. But if you want quick, positive change, okay, you have to work on the unconscious level. Okay, one goal of neuro-linguistic program is to bring about a full collaboration between the conscious mind and the unconscious mind, so that they work together rather than stage a turf war. Okay, this is what usually happens. We try to fight negative emotions. We try to fight limiting beliefs. You know, we all of a sudden we're training and we feel fear and we try to fight it. We try and push it away. We try and push it away. Well, that does repress the emotion. Okay, through repression comes depression, guys. Okay, if you repress your negative emotions, that will build up, build up, build up. Okay, it's like, you know, think of you know, a river behind a barrier. Okay, you're building a barrier, okay, for this flow, okay, this flow that is coming through you, okay, which is your negative emotion. Okay, you're bringing up this barrier to try and block this out. Now, at some point, right, at some point, this river or this river of negative emotions is going to overflow the barrier. Okay, and when it comes flooding through, it's going to be very difficult to handle. Okay, and this is how most people try to handle their negative emotions. They push them away. They push them away, hoping that they will just go away. Okay, now you may succeed a couple of times. Okay, but at some point it will hit you in one go, bang. You know, it will just be a flood of negative emotion. You know, at one point you'll be dealing with fear. Okay, and then all of a sudden you'll get fear, anxiety, anger, everything all coming to you at one go. Okay, in one big flood of negative emotions. Okay, so don't fight your emotions, guys. Okay, I've come across so much material which personally goes against so much of what I believe. Okay, based upon what I know and what I've experienced. Okay, so I can only come from my experience and what I know, right, guys? Okay, so you guys may not necessarily believe it is true. Okay, but this being a presentation based upon what I think and believe, okay, I will express and open up my opinions. Okay, so just be aware, guys, you don't want to stage a turf war. Okay, so don't fight the unconscious mind with the conscious mind. Okay, you need to create a wholeness between the conscious and unconscious mind, create a collaboration between the two. Now, this is the diagram, the NLP communication model. Now, if you understand this, you really might, some of you guys may have to sort of look at this a few times before it really makes sense. And all of a sudden, you'll get the light bulb, okay? It will just all make sense and how you work. Now, this head in the middle, right? Think of that as your mind, okay? That's you. Right, now, what we do is we process our external events. So everything happening around us, okay, and our experience in life is this area here, the external events. Right, okay, now these external events come to us. They come to us, okay? Now, what do? Okay, for most, you know, they just believe that the external event happens, okay, and then they react to that event. Okay, now there's a lot going on before you actually react to an event, right? Now, this can be anything, not just in trading, in everything. Okay, so you have an external event, you have your experience in life, right? A life is full of life in general, right? If you're living, breathing human being, you experience life, right? Life is all about experiencing. Okay, now what you experience in life for each and every human being is different, right? Why is it different? Now, we're all living in the same world. We're all living in the same universe. We can all be in the same place at the same time, but yet view everything in a different way. and behave in a different way, be in a different way, react in a different way. We're all involved in the market. Most of us trade the S&P, right? We're all involved in the same market on the same day. We're all seeing the same thing. Now, why is it that some of us are actually performing positive behaviors, okay? And some of us are performing negative behaviors. Some of us are actually succeeding in trading that market. Some of us are struggling. Why is that? It's all got to do with understanding this model, okay? What happens is we actually process the information around us, okay? We delete, distort, and generalize this information. So we delete that which doesn't actually agree with maybe our values and beliefs, okay? So we ignore that information, right? We distort the information to make it fit our values and beliefs, okay? We then also make generalizations, okay? We might see, you know, the same thing, okay, and make a generalization. Now, someone might actually look at a, say for example, a car, okay? Someone may look at a BMW X6, for example, okay? Okay, all of us may look at that car at the same time, but we're all going to believe something different. Some of us will like it, some of us will hate it. Some of us will like the make and model, some of us won't like the make and model. Some of us will like the color of the car, some of us won't like that color. Okay, now why is it that we all think differently about this? Why are we all internally representing this information around us differently? Okay, it's all based upon what we're believing, okay, and our values that we hold, and also memories that we have. Okay, so these filters is basically what we need to deal with really for positive change, okay, because this is affecting, okay, all of this that's happening afterwards, right? So all of what we internally represent, okay, so the internal representation that is taking place within our mind, okay, especially on an unconscious level, or even on a conscious level, conscious and unconscious level, this is the mind as a whole here, okay, is all based upon what we are believing, okay, what our values are, how our attitude is at that time, okay. Our attitude is also a big determining factor, okay. The decisions that we're making, okay, the memories that we hold. Now, some of us may be scared of dogs. Some of us may not be. Some of us may have a fear of a dog. Some of us may not. Okay, some of us love dogs. You know, we go running to dogs. Some of us will actually. Let me just spare me a sec, guys. Yeah, some of us will actually not be afraid at all when we come across a dog, maybe when we're going for a walk in the park. But some of us might be. Okay, why is that? Okay, we might actually have a memory. Maybe, you know, when you was 5 years old or 6 years old, you was playing in the park and maybe a dog attacked you. Okay, maybe the dog bit you. And now having that memory, okay, is maybe going to cause you to fear dogs. Okay, so these memories that happen in the past will also have an effect. Okay, and I'll show you some more examples later on. Now, the main thing we're looking to change, right, okay, through NLP is our state, okay, because it is our state that determines our behavior, okay. So all of this happens before it affects our state, okay. We filter the information, we internally represent it, okay, and that therefore shifts our state, okay. The other thing that also shifts our state is our physiology, and we can at any time consciously actually shift our physiology. Now, a lot of people, you know, when they feel depressed, how is their physiology? You know, head down, okay. You know, the shallow breathing, maybe, okay. Maybe they're crouched over, okay. So the physiology shifts, okay. Maybe they have a frown. Now, all these physiological shifts are actually affecting your state. Now, you try and be depressed with a massive smile on your face, okay, from ceiling to ceiling, okay, whilst you're laughing your head off and running around in circles. Very difficult to do when you make that physiological shift. Okay, how we communicate to ourselves. Okay, there's a model in NLP. Okay, we say that 55% of our state is determined by our physiology. Okay, so it's a huge amount of a huge percentage of our state is actually affected by how we hold ourselves, okay, how we are physically holding our body, okay. So one of the things, you know, you can do straight away is shift your physiology and how you maybe how you hold yourself and how you hold your posture, okay, whilst you're trading, how you're breathing, okay, will have a huge effect on your state and therefore your behaviors anyway. Now, a lot of what happens on the unconscious level that affects us usually with more on the emotional level is more to do with how we internally represent information. Okay, and the internal representation is 38%, okay, of our state. Okay, it has 38% of our state is affected by the internal representation. The other 7% is actually the language that we use, okay, the words that we use, right? So what we try and focus on really is shifting our physiology and our internal representation. But through the positive changes that occur through using NLP methods, okay, we actually shift our physiology and internal representation, okay, and actually the language models. Okay, and the methods that I want to actually show you actually shift your state 100%. Okay, so we hit the internal representation level, the physiological level, and we also hit the language that we're using as well. Okay, more on the internal dialogue, okay, level. Now, everybody understands? Any questions about this right now? Okay, I hope it's making a little bit of sense. So, basically, if you read this, if you want to change your behavior, you change your state. Okay, so we have to change our state. So we go backwards here. Okay, so we have a behavior that we want to change, right? Okay, we have a negative behavior, right? Now, we want to change the behavior, okay, maybe in life, in general, or in trading. Okay, we want to change that behavior. Now, in order to change that behavior, we have to change our state, right? Okay, but if we want to change our state, we have to either change our physiology, okay, or internal representation, okay? But in order to change our internal representation and our physiology, we have to shift our filters, okay? Especially our beliefs and attitude, right? Is this making sense with you guys so far? See how this works, right? You see how this model works. So in order for us to change our behaviors, we have to change our values, our beliefs, and attitudes. Excellent. Great stuff, guys. So what we're going to focus a lot on today is shifting your beliefs. One of the major shifts on how you internally represent the information from around you, okay, that affect your state, will take place when you shift your beliefs. Okay, so this is what our major focus is going to be on today. Shifting our beliefs. Okay, we're just going to break down into the mindset here. Now, we really want to break down how the mindset works. Okay, the mindset is not just the conscious mind, okay, which most would assume. Okay, we're not really working on the brain level here. Okay, we're talking about the mind. The mind is the whole body. Okay, it's not necessarily just your brain. Okay, we're talking, you know, the mind actually involves your whole nervous system. Okay, so this is what you've got to be aware of. Obviously, the brain has a huge effect on how we function. Okay, but it's not really my area of expertise. Okay, my expertise lies more on the mindset level, which encompasses everything of all of who you are, not just the brain. Okay, so this involves the whole body. Okay, which, you know, the mind for some is the brain, for some the mind is the whole body, for some is actually beyond this, right? The conscious and unconscious mind, you could believe is more on the body level. Okay, but the superconscious level, which I'll also touch a little bit on, I'm not going to talk about that too much because that's really an area I delve into more on a one-on-one level, and that is way beyond sort of the scope of this webinar or seminar. Okay, so let's have a look at the trader's mindset. Not just a trader's mindset in general. Okay. We also find it helpful to distinguish between the conscious mind and the unconscious mind. When we have immediate awareness of something, we refer to it as being a conscious mind activity. When it is somewhat removed from immediate awareness, we refer to it as an unconscious mind activity. Okay, so whatever we are actually consciously aware of is generally what we class as conscious mind activity. And all of the activity that's taken place, okay, through this huge amount of information that's been taken in, okay, that we're not actually seeing, okay, unless we begin to tap into the unconscious mind, okay, is actually happening on the more unconscious level. Right, so what is the conscious mind? The conscious mind is the realm of immediate awareness. It is logically driven. We ask ourselves, is this true or false? Is what I am experiencing logical or irrational? Okay, so the conscious mind is generally hugely logical. Okay, it's always looking for logic in everything. We explore the options and make deliberate choices about how we respond to emotional and sensory experience. Okay, so we begin to explore the options and make deliberate decisions and choices consciously. Okay, and then we look to how we may respond to emotional and sensory experience. However, for most emotional behaviors, this is usually too late. Okay, but we can always ponder on what has happened on the more emotional level. Okay, but it doesn't begin to work in the now as much unless you begin to start to tap into more the superconscious level and raise your awareness so that it encompasses both the conscious and unconscious mind.